Hello, in this video I would like to introduce the research project assignment and particularly get you started on the first step of that project, which is crafting a proposal. So I'm going to talk about this by leading you through the handout that is posted on D2L that provides all the details about this particular project. So you can find that handout both under Unit 6, which is the first unit in which you're going to be working on this project, and you can also find it under the Assignments tab. So let me talk first about this overall project, and then we will particularly talk a little bit about your first step, which is creating a proposal for what you will be doing in your project. So the research paper that you will be working on will be, in the end, at the end of the semester, when you finally turn it in, an 8 to 10 page paper. We're going to be working on this in steps across the semester, so don't feel nervous when I say 8 to 10 page paper. You're not going to do that all in one fell swoop. You're going to work on it in a series of activities, okay? But this paper will be based on a combination of some original research. That is, I will have you doing some interviews and observations. You already have some experience with this through the methods paper, so you'll be doing a bit more of that. You'll also be drawing on some class materials, that is, things we've read already that are assigned as part of your weekly readings. And you will find some sources through the library. So you will be drawing on all these different sources to research a topic of your choosing, okay? So this is really going to be an opportunity for you to apply what you've learned and the kind of skills you've developed over the semester to really digging in on a particular subject that you find especially interesting, okay? Now, you can choose pretty much anything that you would like to work on that falls within the general ballpark of medical anthropology, okay? So that is related to health, illness, and healing broadly defined, okay? One of the reasons for doing a proposal, having you do a proposal at the beginning, is because I want to give you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you choose, but I also want to give you some feedback early on about what will work well or what will be more challenging, okay? So instead of just sort of leaving you on your own to figure out what you're going to do, I'm going to ask you to specifically propose something to me, and then I can give you feedback on that, right? And help you kind of craft it and hone it in a bit so that it'll be sure to be a successful project, okay? In this handout, I give you a few examples of some of the kinds of things that might fall within this broad category of anything related to health, illness, and healing. This list of possible topics is not meant to limit you in any way. You can absolutely propose something not on this list, but this is just to generate ideas for you, right? To get you thinking. So you could certainly do something about illness experiences or illness categories, any either specific illness or something broader, and it can include historical categories, some that were understood differently in the past or are even sort of controversial, right? We know that there are a bunch of different illness categories that used to be formally recognized as such and have since fallen out of favor because we realize that they're not actually illnesses at all, right? They're just elements of human variation. So those are interesting kinds of subjects because you can so clearly see how culture and history have informed shifting perspectives on those categories. So those are certainly some examples. You could look at different kinds of explanatory frameworks for illness. So everything from genes to frameworks like witchcraft, right? A very commonly understood source of illness in many cultures around the world. You could study different kinds of healers, right? Everything from a medically trained physician to somebody who reads tarot cards, right? You could look at various kinds of healing practices, right? Again, from any part of the world and with any sort of basis. You could look at medicinal substances, right? The kinds of things that people use to treat illness. You could look at communities or subcultures that are devoted to certain kinds of health or healing issues. You could look at religious practices. There's a lot of overlap or intersection between what we think of as religion and what we think of as medicine or healing. So any of those kinds of things would be interesting too. So again, think about what you've read so far in this course. Think about things that are interesting to you more generally, and try to choose something that would inspire you to do a project of this sort. Okay, so in terms of the amount of information you're going to collect for this project, down here a little bit later, and I will ask you to read the entire handout carefully. I'm just sort of going out over the main pieces here, but please do take time to look at everything. In terms of data collection, here are the minimum requirements. What I'm asking you to do is at least 4 interviews, at least 4 episodes of observation, and to collect at least 8 scholarly sources. Up to 3 of those can be items that we read in class, right? So you can use 3 things that you already have from class, or you don't need to, right? That's an option. And the rest need to be scholarly sources that you access through the library's databases and catalog, okay? You're going to, in other words, you're going to have some published sources, and you're also going to collect some original information. You're going to bring all of those things together to analyze the phenomenon that you decided to do your project on. In terms of the format, I provide a general format that I'd like you to use. You can refine it and tweak it to suit your own project. But the basics are that I want to see an introduction where you lay out your subject and you present your thesis, that is your argument, right? We'll talk more about this as the semester goes on. An analysis section, which can be broken up into subsections, but where you discuss the most important themes that emerged during the project, and you make connections between the information you collected through your interviews and observations and what you found in the published scholarship. A conclusion where you return to what you put into the thesis statement, that main argument, and you demonstrate how you responded to that initial claim throughout the paper. And then at the end of the paper, you're going to have a references cited section where you list all the published scholarship that you used and a list of your research activities. That is your interviews and observations, and just a brief description of each of those, each interview and each observation, so that I can see sort of the nature of the work that you did. Okay, so the very first step, as I mentioned, is for you to write a proposal. And what will be included in that is outlined here near the end of the handout for the project. But that is actually where you're going to start. So please read the entire handout to be clear on everything that you will be doing for this project. But then the first step will be to focus on these specific questions. So this is what will guide you in what you need to put into that initial proposal. So your proposal must include the following elements. Number 1, I want you to include a statement of your topic, okay? What is it that you want to study about? Number 2, what is your question about that topic? Or another way to think about it is, what is the angle that you're going to take on that topic, okay? So this can be a little bit difficult to articulate early on in the project, but I still want you to try, okay? So again, this is not just going to be a report. You're not going to be writing an encyclopedia entry on a topic for medical anthropology. You're doing a research project. So you're going to ask a question about that topic and you're going to try to answer it, okay? So figure out your topic, but also figure out, what do you want to know about that topic? What needs to be asked, okay? The third thing you're going to include in your proposal is a preliminary list of sources, published sources. I want you to include at least 4. Remember that ultimately for the paper you're going to use 8. If you don't have all 8 by the time you do the proposal, that's fine. That will be something that evolves over time. But identify at least 4 sources that are relevant to your topic and your research question. I want you to include complete citations so I can see what kind of a source it is, okay? For this project, you'll be using Chicago Manual of Style citations, and I have included a guide and a sample paper in D2L, okay? If you don't get that perfectly in the proposals phase, that's okay. It's no big deal. But the main thing I want you to do is to start using that Chicago Manual of Style, and at least in this proposal, make sure you give me all the information, right, for a complete bibliographic entry. So you're going to give me those at least 4 sources, and I want you to also give me a little annotation, okay? So tell me what it is about this source that is the reason that you picked it, right? What's good about it? How's it relevant to your project? Okay, as much as you know so far. And then the final component of the proposal will be a preliminary list of the people you think you would like to interview and the things you would like to observe. Okay? Again, it's okay if you don't know exactly, but be as specific as you possibly can with all those things. Try to think through as many of the details as you're able to at this phase. The more specific you are in your proposal, the better the feedback I can give you, and the more efficiently we can get you through the proposal phase and starting to work on your project. So that is the first step in this project. That is what I want you to focus on. So please do read the entire research project handout. Make sure you're clear on the scope of the entire project, which will run again for the rest of the semester, and then start working on these very specific questions to put together your proposal. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. I look forward very much to seeing your proposals and to working on your exciting projects moving forward. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.